I'm Gabe.
And I'm Jaime.
And people who are listening can't tell, but those of you on the video see two pasty people in dress shirts.
Yes.
I'm looking at the video of us right now. It's like, wow, we look like a Land's End ad.
Hilarious.
Because we're heading to an event, so we're in
Yes.
our dress shirts. Heading down to Dayton tonight. Hannah's going to be in Akron later.
Mm-hmm.
Our team is busy.
It is, which is why there's only 2 of our heads and not 3 of our heads today, because everyone else is out doing things or very rightfully on vacation, which is very important.
Right. And we'll then return to do things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a busy August.
It is.
I think we knew it was going to be busy. It's turning out to fulfill that promise.
I mean, I was hopeful at the beginning of the summer, but then as soon as Kennedy retired, we knew it was over. So yes.
Right. Yeah. So the big national story that everybody was talking about was Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort are both guilty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. I had a lot of fun with the people who defined the MAGA with my attorney got arrested.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, your attorney and your campaign manager, one pleading guilty and being found guilty of felonies all in one day.
Yeah. And apparently Paul Manafort, they busted him on like 8 felonies, but then there was another 10 or so where it was apparently like just one juror.
Yes.
And she's a red hat wearing weirdo.
I haven't heard anything about that. I knew it was one juror, but I hadn't heard anything about her.
Apparently there were tears in the deliberation room.
Wow.
And everyone was like trying to get her to see reason. And she was like, no, I just want to believe them. And the things that they convicted Paul Manafort on, the tax fraud and all of that was just like so incredibly obvious.
Yeah.
That she would have had to have admitted to herself that she was lying.
At least she had that level, because I don't think the president has that level of awareness. So
maybe that's a good barometer, is that these things are getting to the point where even a Make America Great Again hat wearing person admits, oh yeah, they're guilty about these things.
I don't think we're there yet, though.
Time to impeach.
I looked at right-wing social media the day after all of that happened, and my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed is like just one after another person commenting on it and gleefully being excited about it, and like it was silence on right-wing social media. Like I don't even think like Fox News even covered it that day. So
I thought they picked up a little bit of it, but I think they were doing kind of their same sort of,
This doesn't mean anything.
Here's some video of deer in the field.
Yes.
Panda in the zoo.
I just don't think that we're
craziness
there yet.
Fox News distracts people with. I don't know. So that happened, and that's what everybody in the like political world, their heads exploded this week.
Yes.
In the sporting world, and I swear to God, there's a connection. In the sporting world last night, we were working on some of our stuff, but I was watching the news. Urban Meyer has finally been punished for the domestic violence assault scandal. He will now serve a 3-game suspension because he did not adequately address the situation of one of his assistant coaches, Zach Scott, who had assaulted his wife, Courtney, Zach Smith, not Scott.
Yeah.
But so Coach Zach needed to have been fired a long time prior. Wasn't.
No.
Even though both Shelley Meyer and Urban Meyer knew about it. And now is facing a 3-game suspension.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's not enough. Well, I think that I have lots of thoughts. Number one, firing a coach or firing an athletic director isn't going to do anything unless you make change behind it. So if they had just kind of figurehead fired people and said, it's all good, we're going to hire somebody else new who's going to do the same freaking thing over again, and we wouldn't have addressed the issue at all.
Right.
So firing without any action behind it is also stupid. But I don't know. I mean, some of the report is now coming out because they just did the press conference last night, but now they're releasing parts of the report and things like that. And so, I feel like it's showing more and more that they did so little. And I really got annoyed at how people were talking about stuff yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like in most big college towns that have a big, very well-known football program, like football is almost God in the city. I think you could say the same thing about a lot of cities in Texas and Ann Arbor and all those places. But
no, but I mean, Ohio State,
yes,
it's a religion here.
Yeah. And so, what we were hearing, I mean, I watched Facebook Live. They thought Urban Meyer was going to come out these doors at like 3:00 yesterday. That nobody came out of any doors until after 8:00, by the way. But at 3:00, somebody was convinced Urban Meyer was going to come out of these doors. So one of the local sports newscaster guys went on Facebook Live and basically had to talk over, video of 2 doors on the side of a building for like 15 minutes.
Right.
And it was all Buckeye Nation needs closure. We need closure. The football players need closure. We need, the football fans need closure. That's why it needs to end today. And I'm like,
right.
Have we forgotten what this is about? This isn't about football. This is not about isn't even really about Urban Meyer or any. It is about a dude beating his wife and them knowing about it for a long time and not doing anything about it and none of the coverage. I mean, Urban Meyer's statement yesterday was an apology to Buckeye Nation.
Yeah.
When he was asked, somebody actually asked, "Do you have something to tell Courtney?" And he was just kind of
he was apologizing to me.
Yes, he was not apologizing to Courtney for allowing her abusive husband to continue being a football player and a football coach for a long time after he should have been.
Right.
So, there's absolutely no recognition on any level about what this was actually about. And that's what annoys me the most. Suspend him, fire him, whatever, but actually acknowledge and fix the problem that exists.
Jessica Luther, who's a Texas area, heavy on tweeting, friend of ours, she pointed out that there were what she felt to be a larger number of sports reporters that were saying, hey, wait a minute, Urban's not mentioning the actual victim here. So she was saying that, tiny silver lining
light at the end of the tunnel,
that there was, and I think we're post Penn State and that whole scandal where there was members of the media who said, wow, this is, a legitimate scandal that many people in the media, dispatch reporters, were saying, yes, Urban should be fired for this. From what I could see scrolling through Twitter, though, really disappointed by Buckeye Nation.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Watching the comments on the Facebook Live when I was getting so annoyed, every one of them was, we support you, Urban.
Yeah. And I'm speaking as a guy who's been to one or more games every single year for the past 2 decades. The way that they completely did their best to dismantle this woman and her claim of domestic violence online was really disgusting. And for almost just that alone, I really feel that the 3-game suspension was far too lenient. I kind of assumed that, 6 games, and if I had to decide, I would fully support, people making the decision to fire him. I kind of figured where it would end up would be 6 games and then a fine of some sort, because there's domestic violence organizations out there that do work. We're not one of them, so I'm not shilling for dollars here, but there are organizations that we know of that do work to prevent domestic violence, to help women. Urban Meyer makes like $7 million a year.
Yeah.
Fine Urban Meyer $1 million and give that money to some of these charities that do work to prevent domestic violence.
Or spend a chunk of that money actually training your freaking staff on what you should do about it. Because, I mean, this isn't the only OSU scandal. I mean, talking about who should be fired. I mean, we've got an athletic director who, I guess he wasn't there during the wrestling scandal because that was so long ago, but he was there during the Jim Tressel scandal.
Yeah, so this is his second football coach.
That was not sexual assault, but another scandal. But then also he was there during the diving coach sexual abuse scandal. And so he is now been
and the the OSU athletic department deals enough with the marching band that athletic director Gene Smith should have been held liable for the marching band scandal, honestly, where we did fire the band director. So I felt that the marching band situation provided a perfect example for, okay, if you've recognized this problem, this is the severity of it. In the marching band scandal, there was a sexual assault involved between band members. They felt the resolution for that was to fire the band director. Why does Urban Meyer, get the slap on the wrist?
Yeah, especially now with some of the stuff coming out. So one of the pieces that came out was that I guess Shelley Meyer, his wife, because a lot of this I'm not one to bring wives in randomly because I think that's mean and nasty, but she was actually a part of this. Yeah, Courtney turned to Urban's wife, Shelley. Shelley went to the Powell police to try to get police documents on the time that Courtney called the police on her husband. But she was not able to get those. And the documents I read today said that she, at that point, then didn't tell Urban about what Courtney had told her about the abuse because she didn't really think, she couldn't really validate Courtney's claims.
Right.
So Courtney was given zero benefit of doubt. And I think about 14 times in his statement yesterday, Urban Meyer kept saying, my problem was that I always gave Zach the benefit of the doubt. I always gave Zach the benefit of the doubt. So again, we're giving this abuser the benefit of the doubt time and time and time and time again.
Right.
And I can't get the police report to validate what Courtney's saying. So I don't trust what she's saying.
Right. Give her the benefit of the doubt.
Give her the benefit of the doubt. Stop giving it to him.
Giving benefits of doubts.
Give it to her. Yes. So, yeah.
Really disappointed in the entire university, the program. I believe Michael Drake, the university president, was the one pushing to apply additional suspensions. That's what all the media was reporting out of that closed door session. But yeah, just, complete crap show. From my school. So, and I connect all of these.
Okay.
Because I was asked about the Cohen Manafort thing by our intern. Well, hey, is this going to have an effect in the Supreme Court battle? You've got this guilty verdict. There's going to be punishments applied. Urban Meyer, he's, found to be at fault. Punishment is applied. Is this going to make a difference? And I think in terms of people in Columbus who support Ohio State, in terms of people nationally who are looking at the Trump administration, if everybody sits on their hands and does nothing and shuts up about it, then no, nothing changes. So this is my connection.
Okay.
Is that people need to be vocal about the things that they care about. They need to be speaking up and saying, hey, wait a minute. We have guilty verdicts. We have punishments being applied. Where is the change that comes afterwards?
Yeah.
We're now looking at a U.S. Supreme Court nomination for Brett Kavanaugh, and there's guilty verdicts.
Yeah.
The president's got a team of felons that he's been supporting, that he's benefited from. He should not be allowed to appoint a lifetime nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't. And,
yeah.
And especially one like Brett Kavanaugh that has the whole background on, presidents are above the law and they can't be prosecuted. I mean, you've got a president who is surrounded by people, and really is surrounded by people who have either pled guilty or been found guilty or are under direct investigation for felonies.
Right.
And you've got a Supreme Court justice who will be on the bench for the rest of his life that says, oh, presidents can't be prosecuted.
Right.
If you can't see that direct connection and say there's no way in heck you should ever confirm Kavanaugh, there's definitely something wrong in your brain.
Right. Presidents or football coaches are not above the law.
Yes, they are not. And they should be held accountable, and change should happen when these kinds of things happen.
Yes. But that change only happens when people speak up.
Yes.
So Brett Kavanaugh has been talking to Sherrod Brown. They had a sit-down meeting. We don't yet know how Sherrod Brown's going to vote. He's been kind of not yet taking a commitment on voting yes or no on this nomination. He's listening.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely expressed he's got serious concerns about his record. And, even after he met with Kavanaugh, expressed he has serious concerns about Kavanaugh's record.
Right.
But no, I appreciate legislators on all levels that consider things and look at all the evidence and don't just make a knee-jerk reaction at the very beginning.
Rob Portman?
Yes, Rob Portman. He's the best justice that's ever been nominated to the court, ever.
No, I don't think.
No, me neither.
Rob Portman wrote an op-ed supporting Brett Kavanaugh. He's been apparently guiding Kavanaugh's talks through the Senate. So he's on the support staff.
Yes.
For Kavanaugh now.
My eyes can't roll hard enough at that.
Right. But Sherrod is listening.
Yes.
And people have been, people on our side, friends of ours have been like, what do you mean he's not a no vote yet? Take that with, sincerity.
Yes.
He's listening.
Yes.
He's considering.
We know where Sherrod Brown's values are, and he is not going to vote for somebody who doesn't share those values.
There's nothing wrong with listening. So.
Especially when other people just make crap up. I almost cussed. I stopped myself.
Don't make me edit the radio file.
I mean, like Susan Collins this week. We saw her. She had her sit down with Kavanaugh this week too. And she's like, well, he thinks it's settled law, so it's fine. No, not in fact fine.
Right.
Doesn't matter if he thinks it's settled law now. I mean, they can totally, as we've talked about on the show before, they don't have to overturn Roe to completely dismantle it. So he can think, oh yeah, it's totally settled law, but I'm going to completely dismantle it on the other end.
Right.
So Susan Collins either put up or shut up about actually being pro-choice because this is the vote that matters.
Chuck Schumer responded to that saying, well, it doesn't matter if he thinks that it's settled law. The question is, does he believe it was settled correctly?
Yes.
And would he try and change it if given the opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
And it really seems like he would.
Yes. I mean, every time he's had a chance to do it, it's been his choice. So
in Washington today, we saw video already. I'll embed that one in the show notes because it was pretty cool. Reproductive justice organizations in the office buildings of the U.S. Senate, storming the Senate to let them know, hey, we do not support Kavanaugh nomination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fabulous. And so Elena from RCRC, who joins us fairly frequently, and Jessica Root, who you've met on the show a couple weeks ago.
Jessica Roach from Root.
Yeah, sorry, Jessica Roach from Root. Yeah, it's been a long week, and it's only Thursday. And a bunch of the Patients to Advocates fellows actually went down to DC, across to DC for that day, and are doing amazing work out there. They actually met with Sherrod Brown today and talked to him about their concerns about the Kavanaugh's nomination. Right. So not only is Sherrod Brown listening to what Kavanaugh has to say, but he's also listening to what advocacy organizations and people of color and reproductive justice organizations think about his nomination as well.
Right. That's incredibly important. That it's a senator meeting with his constituents, but he's actually listening to them.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell, I mean, the pictures, and we can put some in the show notes because RCRC tweeted them out, but Sherrod's just generally a very compassionate kind of guy that connects with people in a room. And you can really tell that he's listening and he's caring about what people are saying. He's not one of those politicians who, basically falls asleep in the room.
Right. Mike DeWine sleeps in the room.
Yeah. I guess Mike DeWine slept through the Iran-Contra hearings, but whatever.
Oh, geez.
That was like 30 years ago.
There are so many aspects to that.
So wrong. We'll talk about that some other week.
On the subject of courts, though, in Ohio, we've had problems with courts.
Yes, and Mike DeWine.
And Mike DeWine, right. Showing how important courts are. Women's Med Center of Dayton had a hearing last week.
Yes.
You want to explain what that was?
Yeah, so last year, the Ohio Department of Health issued a denial of the variance application that they applied for. So they can't get a transfer agreement because no hospital, kind of like Toledo, no hospital in Dayton will sign a transfer agreement with the clinic. So they actually went through the process to get a variance. The law says you need one backup doctor for a variance. They applied with two and were denied and were told that you need a third. So they found a third doctor to sign on to this variance. And these are all public records. So these doctors are basically signing a piece of paper guaranteeing they're going to be harassed.
Right.
So they found a third doctor willing to do that and stand up for the clinic. And even though the clinic had been told you need a third, when they turned in 3, they still denied the variance.
And the idea of backup doctors is a really dumb idea.
It's complete BS.
You know, if I've got root canal and my oral surgeon that day gets hit by a bus, they just call me up and they cancel the appointment. There's no backup doctor.
Yeah.
I've never seen a backup doctor. I'm either going in for an appointment with my doctor or we're canceling the appointment. This is, you know, these are outpatient surgical procedures, or here is this pill.
Yeah.
We don't need backup doctors for abortion clinics or really, you know, any sort of medical. Backup doctors aren't a thing.
Yeah. Well, and they're not to actually be there to do the procedure. They're to stand in the place of a transfer agreement, which is just as ridiculous because we don't need transfer agreements. It doesn't matter. I mean, in these cases, again, just like the transfer agreement, you could have a transfer agreement with one hospital and the ambulance decided to transport the patient to another one. The same thing happens here. You might have backup doctors at one hospital and the ambulance is still going to transport these wherever the patient they want to transport them, not to the hospital where you have a backup doctor.
Right.
I mean, frankly, that is what happened with Women's Med Center, was that he had a couple of backup doctors at one hospital, and they actually revoked his license because instead of calling one of those backup doctors, he called another backup to his backup doctors at the hospital where the patient was actually being transported to.
Right.
So ODH got mad at the clinic in Sharonville and began the process to shut them down, and now it's closed because instead of calling a backup doctor at a hospital that the patient was never going to go to, Haskell called a backup doctor at the hospital where the patient was going to go to. And he got in trouble for that. So just to prove that this is absolutely in no way, shape, or form about health or safety or patient care or anything else. This is complete BS. So they denied the variance and therefore denied their license. And so now we're fighting over the license of Women's Med Center. And because we had the bad case out of Capital Care in Toledo that went to the Supreme Court and we lost, the state court is a little bit bound by that decision.
Right.
So we knew
that was the biggest factor here. We were pretty much set up to lose this round.
Yes, because of the Capital Care decision.
Right.
I mean, the Dayton case was filed before Capital Care, so we didn't know that was going to happen when we filed it. So now the clinic has 30 days to look over its appeal options. The clinic will, very importantly, stay open during this period of time. The temporary restraining order against the closure notice stays in effect during this period of time. They have to figure out what their next step is. And as soon as we know what the next step is, we'll let people know about it. So
our executive director, Kelly Copeland, put out a press release noting important that the state's attack against this clinic isn't just like the state of Ohio. It's Mike DeWine's office.
Yes.
She said, Mike DeWine continues to use the office of the Attorney General to attack abortion providers and the women who rely on them. His actions are shameful. DeWine's case against the clinic relies on medically unnecessary regulations passed by anti-choice politicians more interested in scoring political points than protecting the health care of our citizens.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important. I mean, that piece is really important. Mike DeWine could decide at any point in time to drop these cases.
Right.
And I mean, the transfer agreement is nearly identical to the admitting privileges requirement that was struck down by Whole Women's Health.
Right.
So in the wake of Whole Women's Health, several state attorney generals, even in not blue states, so like Arkansas and Alabama, their attorney generals have decided to stop appealing.
They just said, hey, I'm not going to waste time or money on this
because the court ruled. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, they were very much anti-choice, not with us attorney generals who made that decision. But instead, Mike DeWine continues to waste our time, waste our money on these frivolous lawsuits and attacks on abortion clinics.
Right.
So, yeah, the courts matter, and who decides who goes to court matters. So,
right.
Let's not have Mike DeWine as governor of Ohio, and let's make sure Steve Dettelbach is the attorney general next year.
Yes. Something we're going to be doing to ensure Steve Dettelbach becomes the next attorney general of the state of Ohio. This Sunday is a day of action.
Yes.
What's happening then?
So it's actually a national day of action across the country. Rallies and various things are happening. We decided to put boots on the ground and do the work that needs to be done for the election this year. So we've partnered with Planned Parenthood Votes Ohio, Conservation Ohio, and a human rights campaign to do canvases in Columbus and Cleveland to make sure people understand the dangers of the Kavanaugh nomination to the court and why we need to elect people to protect our rights and protect our environment here in Ohio, like Rich Cordray, Betty Sutton, Steve Deidelbach, Danny O'Connor, all those fabulous people.
Right. And then tonight is the next round of the road show.
Yep.
You and I are going to be in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah's going to be up there in Akron talking to folks. You want to give people a preview of what happens this evening?
Yeah, so in Dayton, we're partnering again with Jennifer Branch, who is the attorney in the Dayton case we just talked about, and a lot of the cases that protect access to abortion care in Ohio. And also a medical student will be joining us to kind of talk about the medical aspects of making abortion illegal and what happens to doctors and patients and those kinds of things. So that's the Dayton one. And then in Akron, almost said Cleveland. In Akron, we're going to actually partnering with New Voices up there too, to bring some of the RJ lens into the presentation as well. So Hannah will be up in Akron with New Voices and Kelly Copeland, our director, and a bunch of other fabulous folks.
Cool.
And then she's got, I think there's only one more scheduled left. We've got Toledo still being scheduled, but Cleveland is next week on the 28th.
Yes. So tonight in Dayton, tonight in Akron. Check out our Facebook page for information on all of these events. The Cleveland event on Sunday will be launched out of our Cleveland office. It's on Shaker Boulevard. The event on Sunday in Columbus is the For Our Future office.
Yes.
Downtown, 341 South 3rd Street. And then the last road show is August 28th. That one is in Cleveland at the Shaker Heights Public Library.
Cool.
September 25th is the September Reproductive Health Happy Hour. It's at some place called 8 and Sand.
Yes. I think it's actually the bar that one of our favorite bartenders from, why am I forgetting it? St. James just opened. Okay. If I'm remembering a conversation with Kelly that I had.
Cool. So the St. James family that's been helping us out is
expanding to new locations. So we're checking that out.
Okay. This one's on East Innis Avenue.
That's a really hard thing to say out loud. I don't know that I've ever said that out loud before.
East Innis Avenue. September 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. That's the September Repro Health Happy Hour. We're also going to be watching an event coming up in October 20th. It's the Lady Parts Justice 2018 Golden Probe Awards. Awards.
It's been a long week.
The events are just tongue twister city here. This is a terrific event. Lady Parts Justice, the terrific comedy team who came through Ohio, Columbus this year, Comfest weekend. They do this like full-size award show, red carpet and everything with actual celebrities. Like the entire cast of Orange is the New Black is going to be there. Stormy Daniels is going to be there.
That's hilarious.
Margaret Cho is emceeing the event. It's October 20th. It's in New York City, so it's not here.
Yeah, no.
But if you can get to New York, or if you just want to watch it online because they stream the entire thing, it's Liz Winstead's kind of end of the year recap of all the crazy stuff that her organization has done. That's really terrific that exists in any capacity.
It really is.
An award show just for reproductive rights. So we'll continue to promote that one and keep an eye on that for October. So.
Yeah, and I think we solidified a bunch of dates for canvases and phone banks and those kinds of things for election stuff, and we'll let folks know about that as soon as we got them all nailed down.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna hit the road to Dayton.
Yep.
And we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.